Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to a new episode of Social Convos. I'm your host, Diego, together with my co host, Shanluk. Shanluk, you got a smile on your face.
I got a smile on my face for so many reasons. The first one is, do you know the drummer Estefano Siberiano or something like that? Have you come
No,
across his videos?
sounds Brazilian or something.
Yeah,
No? Yeah.
he's like this drummer, and he does a lot of perks. But one of the things he does is takes really difficult drum solos, and he does them with one hand while he's
Oh,
drinking a
wow.
cup of coffee or those kind of things. And also taking old classics and playing around with it. And he can basically do four rhythms at the same time. So he does a rhythm with his left foot, and then a rhythm with his right foot, and then a different rhythm with his left hand, and a
Oh,
different rhythm
I
with.
know how difficult that is to, independently control
So
your limbs.
I was at I just quickly want to tell this story. My dad is a bass player. So he has a couple of friends and they play music. Like they get together and they play music. And then one of his friends was playing the drums recently at my parents' home. And I think he was only playing two rhythms. So I think his right foot and left hand were on the same rhythm, and then his left hand was playing a different rhythm. And it didn't look complicated, and it was not a complicated song at all. So afterwards, I tried to replicate it. I couldn't get two different rhythms going at the same time. I just couldn't. Everything was like on the same beat with it doesn't matter how many limbs are I used, it was all on the same beat. But he was able.
It's a cognitively a brain thing. I know
Yeah,
exactly what you mean. I when I played
exactly.
instruments, I tried it. I tried
Okay.
that exercise.
Imagine that, but then four separate.
Yeah.
It's a completely different level of skill set. But you should check him out. He's a really, really cool drum player.
Name
So
again?
I don't know it by heart, so I hope I pronounced it
No, the
well.
guy, the drummer.
Yeah, I don't remember the name exactly, but it's El Estepano Siberiano or something in that. I should really have practiced that name before I came on screen. Um,
Okay,
but
no worries.
anyways, the reason it came up because I was listening to the intro of Social Confoes, so that's where it came about. The second thing is your lightning compared to my lightning. I'm not at home, my home office. I'm currently still at office at work. So
Oh,
it's
that's a
very
late
plain
night.
and very white background. I just came in out of a board meeting, but I'm still at the office. But your lightning is the influx of the blue and
Yeah, we're trying
the
stuff out. We need to evolve,
yeah,
as
yeah.
you may have noticed from the title of this episode. We're evolving social convos and the convos brand in general. But before we talk more about it, first of all, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/convos. We publish episodes there weekly. You can follow us live, leave a comment there, and like and subscribe. Also, we're on Instagram, on IG at Confoes. And don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter at confoes.substack.com, which you can see on the screen right now. And maybe some of you have already gotten something in your inbox. It's actually the launch of our first newsletter, which was today, right? Today. So,
Yep.
Jean-Luc, would you mind telling the folks what they can expect, like what we're planning with this newsletter, what's coming in the next few months?
Okay.
Let me pop this out so people can see the
The look
new
and feel.
home. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you pop in your email here, and there you go.
Yeah.
Please
So I
still on
think
the banner.
I
I should
think I
pin
think
this. Yeah.
yeah, you should switch it around a little bit. But what I feel like I think people don't know. First of all, people have to understand that this is social Confos and it's part of the Confos brand. And there's a bigger brand, confos.com, which is essentially your brand. So I do want to give you the credit of creating the Confos brand and creating conversations in general. So I think that's something that people should know, that social confoes in the end it's part of a Confoes brand. And yes, it's the guinea pig, it's the flagship project. You may call it however you want, but there's a bigger idea and a bigger concept behind Confoes. So that's something definitely that people should be aware of. For social Confoes specifically, I'm super excited because I get to be part of the flagship product of the Confoes brand. And when we started this 2.5 years ago, we started it really with the idea of having social conversations. And I love the newsletter because, like, you just scrolling through it, we want to get as many episodes in as possible because a lot of these episodes, we never promoted these episodes after they were published. And some of the episodes, we never even promoted them. For us, it was first figuring out how the podcasting space works, how we together can start a podcast. And we made a commitments to ourselves, and it's going quite well. So I think that's the first part. And then the second part is, what is social confos about? And for me, it's really becoming brainstorming about talking about certain subjects, things that you have in your head, but you don't usually talk about and share. And
It
these episodes,
basically gives us the idea, the ability to, brain
yeah,
fart and just
yeah.
think, ask questions, ask deeper, meaningful questions, get opinions from experts, and maybe get perspectives from different part of the world as well.
So, and I think that's where we're heading now. Like, this might be the last episode for the year where it's just the two of us, because that's kind of the structure that we go in. And now, especially, we're starting to find a niche into saying, like, okay, we want to get a third person in every time. We want to have a guest every time. And for us, that's already a major shift between the two of us just talking heads and talking about whatever comes up or whatever is important for us in this particular space. And between also being a platform for people to share their experiences, to share their social conversation. And I think we have experimented now twice with different art target audiences and different guests over this year. And I do feel
Yeah.
like we're now at a stage that we want to bring the level of the guests up. We want to bring the level of the production up. And we don't necessarily have to go live anymore.
Right. It's not going away. It's just going to evolve. So
It's just going to
for
evolve.
our true fans who tune in every Tuesday, comment, ask us questions, don't worry. There's a special place for you guys. We haven't forgotten about you. But first of all, subscribe to the newsletter if you haven't already.
Okay, so explain to people, because I think Substack, it takes us back to the episode with Abhishek, I think, when
Yeah,
we
that
first.
was one of the early episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the episode with Abhishek, where he talked about how he hacked the TikTok system at the time, and what the advantages of TikTok over Instagram, and how he built a following of over 100,000 on TikTok. That was the first time that we started talking about Substack. And I think the most amazing thing, I have to find a video, but I have a video where I came out of a session with Chris Ducker. So there was a session with Chris Ducker at Social Media Marketing World, and he was talking about these different modules and building communities. At the time, we weren't talking about communities, but he already had envisioned that kind of
Yeah,
system.
the description.
And we were, it was after, and I interviewed him, and I was like, would, just like people are willing to pay for different things. This was before Patreon, before OnlyFans. Mind you that this was before Patreon and OnlyFans. And I asked him, like, do you think people would be willing to pay for a newsletter? And he was like, if it's good content, people will be willing to pay for a newsletter. And years after that, or a year after that, Patreon became popular, saying, like, hey, we are creators, but we're going to give you a different platform, and we're going to share some of the stuff that the public doesn't get to see. We're only going to give it to the Patreons who pay us a monthly Do you
Yeah,
have something
support
else?
or get the different tiers of
Okay.
rewards.
So even YouTube jumped in on this. I only recently realized that somebody paid to be subscribed to my
Yeah,
YouTube
YouTube
channel.
has a
Yes.
membership
I
section now,
I
just
actually
like
have
Twitch. Yeah,
yeah, I actually have people that are members on my YouTube and I haven't activated it. So I'm thankful for those people and I feel like I owe it to them to somewhere around this year have that enabled that I make specifically for my members on YouTube. But I haven't thought it through yet. And then also aside from Patreon, OnlyFans became really popular, and people started realizing like, hey, wait a minute, okay, even though it's a lot,
albeit for
OnlyFans is
different. Yeah,
even though OnlyFans is being used mainly for a specific type of content. Technically speaking, you can make
it's
any kind of content on OnlyFans, and people are willing to pay that to be
yeah,
a follower.
it just attracted a certain crowd and it's found its niche.
Yes, and
Yeah,
it has a niche there, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't use OnlyFans the same way that you use Patreon for exclusive
exactly.
content. It doesn't have to be sexually oriented exclusive content. It can be just for exclusive content. And now Substack has the possibility as well to actually create newsletters
Integrated with the podcast, because that was
integrated.
an issue that we had. Platforms. How are we gonna integrate everything? And we
Yes.
had our own website for a while now. We've kind of distributed everything through there to these channels, but
Did I also have a
we had
discussion here on should I change the subject, the
yeah
blog of
for
my
for
website to
your weekly, for
yeah,
your Jean-Luc.sr weekly.
yeah,
You also started it, and as the platforms evolve, you keep track on it. And we finally made a jump like, okay, we're going to start newsletter. But because they introduced the podcasting hosting as well, and you could integrate that seamlessly with the newsletter, like, okay, this is a moment that we might make the platform jump. So
yeah.
you might not see all the updates on the website yet, the recent updates. They'll come slowly, but for the latest updates, confoes.substack.com. And eventually we will migrate the whole domain to that. But, it's baby steps. And that's why we're calling it the evolution or evolving social confoes, the whole confoes brand. And that's part of it. So this is one of the, I think, second time that we made a conscious decision to announce what we're gonna do. I think we do it every year, early the year, uh, end of the year, early this year. We experimented with the scheduling of guests. We had 3 months, I think 4 months lined up. That worked amazingly,
Yeah.
and then we had just the two of us. So it's experimenting. That's the thing with the content creation and just um, building a brand, creating a channel. It's about experimenting, trying stuff, see what works, see what doesn't. See what works for the audience, but also for yourself, because there's the scheduling system, there's a post-production process, there's a whole process behind everything, pre-production, scheduling with guests. So that's stuff we are still figuring out. We're changing things up, but we look forward to having you get a closer look at our journey, and maybe also some behind the scenes access might be possible.
And I think that's really important because you're just speaking about the behind the scenes access. Rajiv, thank you for tuning in and congratulating us. This will be one of the perks that we will have when we start launching the new episodes. So with the new episodes, there will be a difference between the live version that some
The
people will
public
be able
version,
to,
yeah, the public version.
yeah, the public version and the private version. So we are going to experiment with having the opportunity for exclusive perks for paid subscribers to our Substack. So if you're like, hey, listen, hold on a second, what's going on? You're making what kind of decision now? Yes. So for the public, the episodes that will pop up starting this October, starting with I think episode 129, will be episodes that will be live recorded, but you will only be able to comment on those live shows and see those shows live if you're a subscriber that's a paid subscriber. For everybody else, you'll still be able to see the episode. It will be publicly available. All the episodes will be publicly available, but they will be released about a week later than
Yeah.
when it was recorded. So I think that's the biggest difference, right?
Yeah, it's a familiar formula. It's basically, you get the exclusive access. You might get to comment, ask specific questions ahead of time to certain guests, and maybe have conversations. If you had Q&A for us, you can
Yeah,
shoot that over there. But it's like what creators have been doing on YouTube for years now, or other platforms. Is they have the public channel. That content is free. It's open to the public for everyone. But for that little extra, and just if you support us or like our content, we want to give back to give you that access.
yeah.
And why Jean-Luc mentioned October, we're gonna take September off to kind of reorganize everything and
And it's
start
also a
structuring
vacation
it.
month. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
you can double down, or you can take a. And we're not technically taking a break because all the organizational stuff is still going to be running, but due to a conflict in our schedules, and we're also open about that, it's difficult to, like, there will be episodes, and that's also probably a reason why we're also switching to the semi live formula. It
yeah.
allows
What
us
we've
to upload.
experienced
It
this year
allows us
is
it allows us to upload every week, and actually not necessarily have to record at that specific time slot, because if one of us is traveling, that makes it difficult. The connection doesn't
we've
work as
we've
well.
experienced that the past year and a half. I'm away, you're away, and then
Yeah,
the scheduling gets messed up. We don't have, our
yeah,
trusty network or setup, and you're at the mercy of some hotel Wi-Fi maybe, and then it's,
yeah,
you think it's bad. The internet out there is better, but you've never been in a crap hotel internet connection.
yeah. I mean, so I think that's, and it will create better content. It will create better episodes. So for us, it was kind of an easy decision. We didn't really have to think that long about seeing how we can change the formula, and we're both happy that we can now commit and guarantee every Tuesday, starting from October, every Tuesday we can guarantee an episode at the same time, because that's
And
also a
what?
thing.
Yeah, just finish your announcement, and then I'll go on to the next
Yeah.
one.
We also experienced that one of the biggest issues for us was changing constantly between the 4 p.m. Surinamese time and a 9 p.m. Surinamese time slots. And what ends up happening is that there's no real continuity, in the sense that people can tune in at the same place at the same time. And we do want to do that. So we've decided now, we've also kind of experimented with it for the past couple of months, that we kind of acted like the shows were live, but they weren't really fully live. So I think it went well, and it gave us the
Yeah,
opportunity to say, like,
for the
hey,
people that pay attention, you watch the video at 9 p.m. and you see some light here in the back. It's
yeah,
been pre-recorded. That gives
that's
it away.
yeah. If you see
Now it's
Diego
really dark.
talking at night, and on the left on his right side, you see still that it's still
Well, for
daytime.
now,
Yeah,
until the
yeah,
setup gets upgraded, there's some
yeah,
stuff coming away. But with that being said, speaking of the other things that are evolving, you might have noticed. I think there's already a short on our Instagram and YouTube as well, some short. So we are starting to extract content from all those 120 episodes, some evergreen content, some hot takeaways, some hot takes, some fun facts from our guests, from ourselves as well, and kind of making those in shorts, and check those out as well. And it might be, give it a comment, a like, might be something you could share with your friends, some daily dose of inspiration or something to spark a conversation between your friends. So
yeah.
that's the whole idea behind Convos, is to spark conversations as well, and to think deeper on certain topics and certain interests. So I hope that sparks your interest as well, as we are evolving to release some trickles of micro content your way.
The interesting thing is, there's a lot of content out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who would have known that, just creating for 2+ years and looking at the backlog as we were talking with the team, going through the process. Like, that's a lot of words.
Yeah, so it was. I think it was still. It still is an overwhelming process, and I think the team will be happy when they've reached their target, and we're like, I finally reached the target. But that's definitely something that I'm proud of, that we're finally doing it. And I know some people will be like, but why are you so parting so little on the content process and the controlling the content? But for one reason, and this is something that this is the first time I'm seeing it out in the open, is I don't want to micromanage,
Mm.
right? I really, at this point, we we will talk about it in the conversation with our next guest in the next episode. On With Madhu, we'll talk about diversification and inclusion, but specifically having diverse amount of opinions. And I think sometimes it's good to stray away from what you know and what you want, and to give other people the opportunity to show, like, hey, this is what I find interesting from an episode. This is how I want to post it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it will be a hit and that people will agree with it, the target audience will agree with it, but it does give you another perspective aside from your own. And I feel like I wouldn't be able to do that 4 years ago.
Yeah. And what I'd also like to encourage listeners, depending on where you listen, most of you listen on YouTube or on the live sessions on LinkedIn and Facebook. But if you do listen on YouTube, YouTube has a handy feature now just to
Clip
make
it.
clips.
Just clip it.
And we encourage you, just make clips. Make clips from something you find interesting. Just share it. Encourage you to, if you find something interesting, clip it, save it for yourself. Just share it.
Can we just
That's all we
share?
ask.
Can we just share it? Would you mind sharing your YouTube channel on the screen? And then, just for people, for context, and this is really a way of YouTube
Okay, sure.
taking
Give me
advantage.
1 second while you
Yeah.
do that.
So basically, this is YouTube taking advantage of, like, as a social media platform, you always want a way that people share content from your platform to other platforms so that more people get to your platform. So what YouTube decided to do is just put in a clipping option. And with the clipping option, basically, if you're watching like a really popular YouTube video, you can now just clip a certain part of that video and send it up to people, instead of having to send the whole video and say, like, hey, you have to watch minute 325 to minute 9:15. That's the most important part, but you can clip it. I do think that there's a limit to the amount of time you
I
can
think
clip it.
it's 1 minute or 90
Yeah,
seconds, something like
yeah.
that.
But that's an easy way of finding a nugget within a conversation or sharing something that's really valuable to you. I think that that's something that they've been smart with it. And yeah, it's something that
Yeah, it's taking a second. Just almost there, almost there. Share.
it's definitely something that's underutilized.
Wait, I
So you
lost the tab.
so you can just go to any YouTube video.
Yeah,
Any YouTube video has it right now, right, Diego?
yeah. I can't find the tab. That's
Well,
the,
maybe maybe that's a sign that we don't have to share it.
that's
Maybe
the
it's a sign.
downside of how many tabs do you keep open in your browser,
Yes.
Sherlock?
So Diego,
Okay, I
tell us.
found it.
Okay,
I
how many
found it. I
tabs?
found it.
Now I want to know, how many tabs do you have open in your
I
website?
have one tab open right now.
No,
I
no, no, no,
closed.
no, no. That's the tab that you're sharing. How many tabs do you have?
I,
I usually have around 10 open. Right now, I only have 6 open.
I have at all times two browsers open with minimum 5 tabs each.
No, no. I for streaming purposes, I have to close those tabs. Okay,
Okay,
but
so yeah, here we are.
so if you go to YouTube
This
and any video,
is
you have the opportunity to clip it. Maybe you
Yeah,
can
here,
show.
down here, you have the clip option,
Cool. Yeah. Okay.
and
So
then you can
you have to
find,
redo it, I think, because not everybody was
yeah,
able to see it.
yeah, you can find the
Yeah.
timestamp here,
And just share that link. Yeah.
here,
Share.
yeah.
So next to the share, you have the clip option. I don't think all channels have it, but they ask you if you want that on your channel.
You have to be logged in as well.
Yeah. Ah, you
So
have to be logged in.
if you're not logged in, then you won't see the option.
So if you're logged in on YouTube, you can actually clip content and take out a piece of maximum a minute, right? Oh no,
Yeah,
you can do it
maximum of
longer.
1 minute,
Okay, you can
1 minute max.
clip it for 1 minute, and then take the best part of the episode, take it out, share it on Facebook, share it on WhatsApp, wherever you want to share it. Which is a pretty cool feature, if you ask me.
The other cool feature on YouTube is you can just put a timestamp in the comment for people if you found a part
Yeah.
interesting. Just put the
So that's
timestamp.
also something that.
48 minutes point 15 seconds. And
So, are you interested in doing the thumbnail experiment as well?
I've actually I'm curious to your take on the thumbnail experience. I have some insights on the thumbnails and captions as well. So
Yeah.
what have you found on thumbnails?
Okay, so if you just look at, like, let's start with the most popular, right? So if you look at Mr.
We're
Beast,
not talking about no. I refuse to talk about Mr. Beast in
so
this
I think
episode.
no, I think it's really important. I think if you have the topic, and basically, see, here's the thing: it's the old school concept. The old school concept is you would get a guest, you would get a picture of that guest, and you make a beautiful thing out of it and promote the hell out of that image. The new school thought of doing these kind of things is that you basically ask your guest, "Hey, take a picture with the topic you're talking about." So if we have, for instance,
You're making
uh,
it way too complicated. I
no,
have
no,
simpler.
it's not. If we have Rajiv, take Rajiv for example, and we're talking for Rajiv, we're talking about branding the Caribbean, right? And then it would be interesting if Rajiv was on the, like, if this is the frame that we're using, that Rajiv would at least be this size on the thumbnail, like at least he should be recognizable. That would be the first part. And he should be holding or pointing towards something that relates to the subject matter. That's the first thing that you would need to do. And the second thing you would need to do is you would have the title wouldn't just be Social Confoes 128 Evolving Social Media Confoes, but would be a title like Did You Clip It? Or something like that. Or the benefits of clipping on YouTube.
Okay, I'll 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 simplify it for
Yeah.
you. And basically, from my research, and I watched several channels too on their
Yeah.
strategies. It's basically you need the person, the guest, whoever the subject matter is,
Yeah.
with an expressive reaction. Needs
Yeah.
to show expression, shocked faces. Take should at least take 30% of the thumbnail. And
Excited.
as you mentioned,
That person
yeah,
should
as
be
you mentioned,
excited. Yeah.
it should do an action
Yeah.
that helps. The title on the thumbnail should be something catchy, but the title of the thumbnail should not be the same as the title of the video.
No.
It should be different. It
And
should
it can
have
only be a
some
couple of
dissonance.
words. It
Yeah,
can only be a couple of words. That's
I
also the
think
problem.
four or five words
Yeah,
max.
Max. Yeah. Yeah. So it's either
And
the keyword or a short
yeah,
sentence. Yeah.
so basically for the other project, I've already done the thumbnail part. Uh, that we're doing with the other podcasts. I've updated all the thumbnails for that project as well, and it looks better. We haven't gone fully yet with the titling, but put some faces, some expressions, and a big ass title.
And of course, you shouldn't clickbait. So don't make it the title and the thumbnail something that is not represented in the video. I think
Yeah,
that's a very important
you
disclaimer
can
as well.
clickbait as long as it's mentioned exactly like that in the video.
Yeah. So we now can add the word masterclass into the title of this video, technically speaking.
Yeah. So if we were to make a thumbnail for this episode's Evolving Social Combos, what would you put in the thumbnail
Your
as a
face,
thought experiment?
your face with AI here and AI here, and yeah, that would be the thumbnail.
Just my face? No, no, no fancy caption.
Yeah, maybe the like your head, and then the future
You're
of
making it way too
social
complicated. Use the caption
confoes.
Rajiv just put it there. A masterclass in social confoes. Dot.
Yeah, works.
Hmm. So with that being said, we're gonna not go on too long with this episode. We just made the big announcement. So, in summary, we're going to resume in October, first week of October, the first Tuesday of October at 9 p.m. with our next guest. We are going to take September off to reorganize. The newsletter is out. If you receive the newsletter, share it. If you're not subscribed yet, we're going to share it on social soon. The link is confoes.substack.com. Subscribe there, share it with your friends, family, or just people you think might be interested in the different topics. If they want to be a guest, if you want to be a guest, reach out as well. You can email us at casual@confoes.com or just through the Substack. Just leave a comment there and you'll find us.
Casual or social at confoes.com.
Casual, the social.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
Casual.
that's we need to talk about that.
Okay. Okay.
If you email that now, you won't find anything, but we'll
Okay.
announce it if we decide to make it live.
Okay. Good. So for now, just email to casual at confoes.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. With
And
that being
fun
said,
story, the
yeah.
origin of that.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you remember the origin of that, right?
No, do enlighten me. I've forgotten about that, actually.
You know how Convo started, right? The first Convo series was called Casual Convos, and you were one of our first guests on it.
Oh, for some reason, I thought Capital Confoes was the first one.
Capital Convos came after Social Convos.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. The original show was Casual Convos, and that's where the casual at Convos email came from.
I now really want to look up that first episode and make clips of that as
I,
well.
I
And
don't
yes, yes,
remember what we talked
you're
about.
getting a shout out, Gregory, for the Capital Confoes. Definitely, you're getting a shout out. Yeah. Whatever happened to that host?
Well,
uh,
look into the comments.
yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. The
it's not
comment
that.
section. The comment section is a different show on YouTube, so we can't choose that name. But definitely, it's
Uh,
interesting that you mentioned it. Casual Confoes was the first Confoes on confoes.com. Thanks for reminding me about that.
mhm, mhm. With that being said, I think that's going to be it for this episode. So subscribe at convos.substack.com and also on our YouTube channel to follow the new updates. Any last thought, Chanduk? And then close us off.
I'm looking forward to October. So if you're watching this in September, don't worry, we'll be back with brand new social confoes starting the first week of October. We are excited. We want to thank you so much for the years and years of support. And we're glad and happy that we can evolve social confoes to the next level. This has been Social Confoes. See you the first week of October. Love you and see you soon. Bye bye.